Hello everyone, this is Mary Hanks, the Mahogany Poet, and I am on again to run through a couple of poems and just chit chat with you for a moment about what is on my mind, my thoughts for today. Today is Sunday and it is August the 3rd, 2025. It has been a good week, a long week. The summer semester is over for us at our university, and we have a couple of weeks to get ready to transition before our students return. And so for me, this weekend was just about trying to get a little rest, also turning my thoughts, closing the book on the summer, and opening up this next year, this next academic year, this new chapter in my life, and what it is going to hold for me. I did get a bit of exciting news about it's career related, but also just on a personal level, being recognized for my work, but I'm not going to share that with you just yet. I'll probably come back to you after I attend the event and receive the recognition. So hopefully that will be one way to keep me honest about making these videos. But to all the glory and honor, of course, to Jesus Christ, to God, for allowing me, for giving me the opportunity to do what it is that I do, for blessing me and helping me to circle back. You know, sometimes I feel like I was going through my own personal valley or my own personal, in the desert, taking too long to get to where it was I was supposed to end up in the first place. But all things work together for good for those who are the called. So yeah, I praise his name and I thank him for just allowing me to do what it is that I do. Even though sometimes, I know that we get frustrated in the places where we are. I know that we run into brick walls. Sometimes it feels like in the places where we are, whether it's in our personal life or whether it's in our professional life, wherever the space is. But hopefully as you grow, whoever listens to this video, maybe I should start these videos off with the fact that I am making these videos and coming to you from the standpoint, yes, I'm reading poetry because I'm writing it and I'm sharing it with you, but it comes from a deeply personal and a deeply spiritual place for me, because it's my walk. It is as I am growing and as I am learning my own faith, as I'm walking out my faith, as my faith is being authored by my Heavenly Father, that I am sharing these things with you as I am growing, still becoming the Christian that he has, put me here to be, and learning how to do the things, still knowing that I am a flawed individual, still knowing that, I'm not going to buy into the being propped up on pedestals or all the, any accolades, anything that I do, anything that's worthy to be recognized. It is only because he breathes the breath of life into me every morning. It is only because he allows me to wake up, in my right mind. He allows me, he puts these visions and he allows these things to come to me, and then I'm the vessel by which he works through to make sure that, his children have what it is that they need. And then of course, I am still, I'm Mary. And so my flesh does, it has its wants and its desires. And so sometimes, my mouth goes places that it shouldn't go as far as using words or saying things. But that's just, it's part of my walk and part of who I am. Sometimes I watch things, I hear things, I see things, and my default mode, because I've been here for 54 and a half years, so my default mode is to want to blame or judge or do all the things. And I have to, come back to center with him and how it is, because he's given me instructions on how it is that he expects. When I talk about standards and expectations all the time, he has standards and expectations for me as his disciple, as a follower of Jesus Christ. And if you say you are a Christian, then that's what you are. You are a follower of the gospel of Jesus Christ, a believer in that. And the only way for me to follow is then for me to study. And, I would hope that all of you are, you have a curiosity, that you have a burning just in your gut that makes you want to know, well, who is he, and how did he walk, when he was here, and, and how is it that he did the things that he did? Why did he do? Because he was such a great teacher to his disciples, and he left all of these instructions, and he explained things, and just the entire Bible is such a great historical lesson in how it is that we ought to move in modern times. And, for me, it took me being under the leadership of just great teaching to be able to understand that. And it also took on my behalf, my personal hunger and thirst, because I wanted to know and I wanted to understand. And so I reached out to him and I sought him, and he gave me what it was that I was looking for, a means to a relationship. And the only way you can build a relationship with someone is getting to know them. And I wanted to know him. So in the knowing and in building the relationship, the relationships are two-way streets. Oftentimes I feel like, and I speak for myself because I remember myself as a young Christian, I felt like the relationship, yes, it was two-way, but I felt like I only had, maybe 1% that I needed to do, especially when it was that I got into trouble or I needed something, or I felt like, people were just trying to take advantage of all the things. Then, I just wanted God to get them I wanted them to get got. Or if there were bills that needed to be paid, there were things that I needed done, then, I just wanted him to handle it, because that's what he does, that was his role in my life back then. But God didn't want to be used no more than any other person in a relationship wants to be used. He wants to be a part of our life all the time. He wants us to call on him, to acknowledge him in all our ways, so that he can hopefully detour me before any of those things I allow myself to get into those situations. Or he can allow me to look at things the way he sees things. The heart that is in him can be the heart that is in me. And so I don't see things the way that I used to see them back then. But anyway, so when I get on here and I start talking, I never know how I am going to talk to you all for the day, because this is not rehearsed. It is really me trying to live out of obedience. And today in Sunday school, we were talking about prayer and how important prayer is in our lives, and why it is that we pray, and how it is that we ought to pray. We were given instructions on how to do that too. And just learning that, again, he wants us to have a relationship with him. It's a conversation, and how it is that conversation ought to go. Just thanking him. Not so much for what he's done. Of course, we're going to thank him for that, but just for being who he is. Just because he is God, just because he created us. He is our creator. Just sit in that for a moment, and knowing how it is the nature of mankind, the nature of who we are, and that we are flawed, and in our flaws He saw that and he knew that because he stands at the beginning and the ending of time. He stands and he sees all, knows all. So he knew how we were going to end up. And because of that, he sent his son to die for us. And thank God he didn't stay that way. He was resurrected and now he sits at God's right hand and he intercedes on our behalf. So that is just awesome and wonderful. And in our prayers, you know, we should be, especially as Christians and as followers, how is it that we intercede? Do we intercede for other people? Do we know how to intercede for other people? Or are we always just, you know, going to God for our own behalf? The people that we intercede for, are they just people that we love? And is that the Christian way? Is that how Jesus wants us to respond? So I hope that, you know, this just pricks conversation and, like I said, curiosity. And there are so many ways to get information nowadays that you can go and you can do a deep dive. And when you don't know, when you don't understand, going and seeking clarification from someone who is a man of God, someone who is a teacher of the word, of the gospel, who understands and will help you, who will teach you that your personal relationship with the Heavenly Father is paramount. It's imperative. It is so important. And how you will start to view things and see things. And at least for me, it has shifted my worldview on a lot of things. So with that being said, we will get into the two poems that I want to share with you today. One is, Can These Words Heal? Can These Words Heal? I hope one day that will actually translate into a book, but not there just yet. And then the second one is Storms Rise. Storms Rise. I felt like these were two that were good for today. Good for me when I went back and reread them as I was thumbing through what to read today. And to be quite honest, I didn't go through too many of them because these were two of the maybe first 3 or 4 that I saw. And I was like, yeah, that's it. Because I sat on my couch and I was struggling with, I don't know which poems, I don't, just giving myself an excuse not to get up off the couch. When I looked on the camera and saw myself, I was like, ooh, you're a little oily, probably should have powdered your nose or did something. And as I continue to do these videos, you will come to know if I'm going to be obedient and do this. We're going to have some makeupless days. We're going to have some, probably a lot of hair pulled back days, because you're just going to get me. You're just going to get the me that is comfortable doing this, because no pretense here, right? So if I'm going to do this, I don't have time to get myself right and get myself together, get myself camera ready, because this ain't about that. That's a different show for somebody else to do. So, can these words heal? Preachers use them to preach. Others use them to pray. But what do they say? Lyrics form them to rhyme, and yet some or most of the time, they seem only to get in the way. A combination of letters forming mystical, powerful sounds, some verbs, some nouns. Still others describe how we feel. But can speaking words heal? Drive sickness and illness underground. Can words heal the cancer that has me dying? The weariness that stifles me trying? Those lips of yours that keep lying? Can words heal a nation in denial? whose bad deeds never stood trial, while her citizens reject a sacred revival? Can words heal children who cannot eat, whose destiny is to die in and of the streets, as we continue to march to a drum without a beat? Can words heal when the heart closes its ear, when the mind can't discern faith from fear? What if our transformation is far from here? Can words heal if death and life live there? If a gentle tongue a life may spare? Those who don't study the word may be unaware. The power of a sword with a doubled edge, a weapon speaking life and death upon all our heads. Choose your weapons, your words, wisely, or live in dread. Can these words heal? I believe in the power of words when they are used correctly. You know, words make up prayer. Just talk about the importance of prayer, the power of prayer over and over again in biblical times, in times when people were enslaved, in times when people have been abused, neglected all across the globe. The power of prayer, the power of words to form just sometimes a simple plea of help me, save me, show me, meet me in my unbelief. I don't know how to believe. If there's something in me that does not look like you, remove it from me. Can words heal? Can words heal? Of course, it'll take more than mere words, but you get the point. We got to start somewhere. We got to learn to formulate the words. They don't have to be pretty. They have to be sincere. They have to come from a sincere heart. Storms rise. You know, we all have issues. Again, going back to the beginning of this talk, we all have things that come up in our life. Things that try us, things that make us feel like, man, don't want to do this no more, can't do this anymore. No matter what I do, you know, I'm trying to live right, trying to do right. And it seems like doors just keep slamming in my face. Stumbling blocks keep being put in my path. I just keep falling down. I just keep what is going on. So storms are going to rise in all of our lives, no matter what. It's just part of the package of living on this earth, walking through this life, walking out this journey. But storms rise, and I would argue that we were built for it. Storms rise, but so can we. We rise to the occasion if we accept our preordained station, not man's inept destination. Who cares what they say? Who are they anyway? Just pawns standing in our way of what will be a brighter, joyous day. For joy awaits me. As my path they clutter, I will not allow myself to sputter. Live beneath my privilege in their gutter. Still, joy awaits me. I hear it calling. All the while they play games, stalling. I'm steady rising, while my enemy fallen. Storms come to show me that I must be still at times, contemplate the why. All the destruction that passes me by, I'm protected because he heard my cry. Caught up in being afraid of what others might do, but you're concentrating on the what and not the who. I know exactly who I belong to. Yeah, storms may rise, but so can you. It is important to have a foundation. It is important to know who and whose you are. If you can get that foundational knowledge, if you understand the source of power that you have, you'll realize that, there are battles that lay before all of us. And you'll realize that you won't have to leave your seat. You won't have to lose a lash. You can use the power of prayer to help you move mountains. And as you grow, you'll learn that there are other weapons at your disposal. Again, not physical weapons, because the weapons of our warfare are not weapons that are made by hand. You have some power at your disposal. Jesus Christ sent us a comforter. And I am so grateful and I'm so glad. And I thank you for taking time to be up, to get on, to listen, to share with anyone that you think this might, resonate with, or anyone that this may help. Because I just know that the younger version of me, I don't even know if she would have been ready to accept it, because everything is also in his timing, is when he says so. But if you think that it would be useful, please share, and I shall return. Don't know when, and don't want to tell you anything that's not true, but I am more locked in than I have been in the past. Have a great, awesome, productive, prosperous, peaceful day, week, month, whatever, until it is that we meet again. Love you all. Bye.